Hello, everyone. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space where we discuss everything relationship, and I'm your host, Franca. With me on the show today are our regulars, Sheyi Lesomi, Tomi Akinbobola, and Uju Iwuchuku. Hello, Uju, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, welcome. How are
Hello.
you? We've
Hello,
missed you.
viewers.
We've missed you.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah. So today we're
Same here.
discussing. So today we're discussing navigating conflicts in relationship and how it affects fighting fair amongst parents. It's a very it's a very sensitive topic, and I think in fact I had an experience today that I'm not so happy about. So I'm very intentional about this conversation. But please, before we go dive into this, please note that you can call in to join in this conversation, and you can call our WhatsApp line 081 9038 4663 or 07025007749, 071 07014242420. Please, this conversation, I think I want people to call in, so that we just hear what people have to say, or send text messages or WhatsApp messages. But please call in so that we would hear what you have to say about this conversation. And please remember to subscribe on all our social media platform, but on YouTube at Official Upgrade TV. Tommy, I had a very funny experience today. So I volunteered to. There was a project, or there was an event today. I think it's done every month, and it's called "You Are Not Alone," and it was for secondary schools.
No,
You
I
know,
saw I
you
saw
saw
that.
it on my
Yeah, yeah,
okay. You saw it on my status. So it's something for counselors that they said, oh, we're volunteering this, November and December, to reach out to children, speak to children on mental health and all of that. So we a couple of us volunteered and we went out today. And as we were speaking, some kids started crying. Like literally started
What's
crying.
their age range?
They were in SS2, SS2, SS3. They were crying, as in they were crying. So we had to like take them, and then we started counseling. We just wanted to know what the problem was. And I spoke to four kids, and four of them were from broken homes.
So the parents are no longer together.
The parents are no longer together. And I could tell how broken these kids were. In fact, the stories were so touching, and I started thinking, is it that parents are no longer intentional about parenting? I had like really crazy stories, and the kids are not at fault. But at the same time, the parents are equally not at fault. So I'm saying how this is part of the reason why navigating conflicts in relationships.
Parents are not at fault. Then who's at fault?
Oh no, because why I say parents are not at fault, they are also going through something that they didn't bargain for,
And they need to choose themselves
and they had to choose themselves.
over their kids.
But guess what?
That's bullshit, man.
She told me, you know what? That's why I said it's a very sensitive conversation. And I'm happy that Uju is also here. She's a lawyer and all that. And, I'm sure everybody has kids and all. But before we dive into this conversation, let's quickly go on a break, and we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Heartlines will be right back. Thanks for staying with us on Heartlines.
We're back, and we're diving straight into this conversation. Like I was saying before the break, it's a very sensitive one for me. And I honestly, I'm kind of broken. Maybe because I just got back from, speaking to those children, and I'm in between picking who is wrong, who is right, And I just want to hear people, I just want to hear everybody's opinion about it, because the children are broken. And trust me, the parents are broken. everybody, it's, in all honesty, from where I'm coming from, the parents are broken because, trust me, the parents were kids, have been traumatized, took it into marriage, has affected their marriage, and they have transferred it to the children, not intentionally. It's just something that happened. They didn't know how the children were going to take it. I have an 18-year-old boy say he has never seen his father he has never seen his father. Why? Because as at the time they were giving birth to him, the dad had left. And I think the mom had 2 children. So the dad left with one, and he left with the mom. And for 18 years, he's not seen the father. And he's been asking the mom, and the mom says, am I not doing enough for you? He said he heard that the dad is remarried and all of that, but he wants to know something about his father. And guess what? He said he's been dealing with it, that he goes in his quiet place and he's crying because as a younger child, people used to say things about their dad and he had nothing to say about his own father. And he couldn't speak to his mom about it because she was not in a good place to have that conversation. That now he thinks he's healed, he thinks he's okay, but when people talk about their dad, he acts like, oh, he's all strong. And he told me, he said, I act like I'm all strong and I'm okay, but in my quiet time, I still cry. He's 18.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about secondary school kids.
Okay. You're talking about the kids, okay.
One of the kids you met today?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Another one was crying bitterly, and she said she didn't feel like talking about it. She wants to put it in her past. And she was wailing. And I said, what's the problem? Are your parents okay? And she said her parents are not together, that she's her mom and her dad left, but that her father keeps calling to threaten the mom and her. She didn't want to speak about it. In fact, the only one that gave me a bit of comfort was a child who said he never met his father. That's at the time the mom was pregnant, the father left. And I asked, were they ever married? He said he doesn't even know because he's not had that conversation with the mom. But the mom is remarried now. And the husband has his own kids and she has her own son. But they are not able to, they don't want to have kids anymore, But the boy said that, I said, what do you wish for? He said he wished the mom didn't get pregnant before, but got pregnant after marrying the stepdad to have him. And I said, why? He said, because his stepdad is so amazing.
And then he should hold on to that.
So, but you see, I couldn't tell him to hold on to that because that's not giving him what he wants. Do you understand? So a lot of kids are broken. And trust me, even from speaking to those kids, I could tell that their parents were broken because all of them were staying with their moms. Every child I spoke to today is staying with his mom, his or her mom. And you could tell that their mom is also broken. In fact, the girl was crying and I said, why are you so bitter? And she said she wants her mom to be happy. She's doing everything for her mom to be happy. But the mom is not a happy person. So you as guys, why I wanted guys on the show today was because a lot of burden is on the man. That's the truth. Because that title of the head of the family. And I think that men are not being, a lot of attention is not paid on the male child.
Not being taken care of.
Yes, on the male child as children, not as adults. As children, as adults, you guys are not a shell, But as children, why are you squeezing your face?
No, I'm
okay. So as children, I think the male child is not taught what to do and what not to do. Why are you seducing me, young man?
Excuse me.
So, Uju, let's start with you. What do you think about this topic?
Because this topic is kind of specific. We're talking about conflicts in relationship and how to fight fair. But your experience today, it's like a broader, I would say that it's something beyond just conflicts in marriage. I don't think it's it could be just pile up of conflicts, and maybe it's not been, there's no fair way of resolving it, and then resentment grows and all of that, and then the marriage dissolves. But keeping to the topic today, navigating conflicts in relationship, I will say that first of all is to before two people, whether it's a marriage, whether it's a friendship, or even in the workplace or whatever, I feel personally you should have boundaries. And as adults, we should know how to navigate conflicts, no matter where it arises, whether in the workplace or anywhere. For me personally, like I tell people, I'll be like, Omo, I don't have any business with anybody that cannot have a civil discussion with me if conflict arises. It has made me lose some friends, quote and unquote, because it's frustrating when you're trying to resolve something with somebody, and then especially when the person starts bringing past things that have happened, or not just I'm unable to resolving what it is. So I just feel as adults we owe ourselves the responsibility of being able to engage in civil discussions when there's conflict, because no matter how you want to prevent it, conflicts will always arise in whatever relationship you're having every day. Conflicts always arise. So it's left for you to know how to resolve it. Even when the other person is shouting that out, just listen to the person and empathize. Put yourself in the person's shoes and just try to know where the person is coming from. And I believe if we're deliberate and intentional about managing conflicts, I think the world will be a better place, I'll say. But a lot of people are not just intentional about it. That's what it is.
Okay, so Uju, this topic, I want it to be about relationship, marriages, not general relationships. Yes. I want to be, today I'm very intentional about it. I want us to discuss navigating conflicts in marriages, because it leads to a lot. And that's why you see that on the topic, you find out we say fighting fair. You understand? Because when you're not able to resolve your conflicts, the conflicts in your marriage, it now resolves to, you now get to the point where you're fighting, everybody wants to get back at each other, and that's when you're not considering the children. So do you have something to say? I don't want to make it general. No, I want it to be about marriages.
Okay. Your concern about the children, but I will say from experience and from what I've heard from people, sometimes I don't know whether to say parents are selfish, but you find yourself in a marriage where the marriage is no longer serving you. You guys fight all the time. It's not even a healthy environment for the children to be in, when every time mommy and daddy, they're fighting, they're abusing each other, they're throwing words, they're hurting each other. So sometimes it's actually better for whichever partner to walk away and give the children a healthier environment, because in that kind of atmosphere, it becomes toxic to even raise the kids. And then at the end of the day, when they go out in the society, they have those same traits. They are hurting. They need therapy. So I don't fault parents. I don't know what the issues are, but I don't also fault parents when they feel like, okay, this marriage cannot be managed. It's becoming toxic, and like if we remain in it, one person will kill each other. Then I think when it gets to that point, it's okay for you to remove the children from that toxic environment. Talking about the kids you spoke with, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but I mean, children lose their parents. The father could have been dead, and the mother, that happens. But it's left for the mom to be open, because kids now, they're not like when we were growing up. Like, I have 3 boys. I'm very close to my boys. You can't even imagine what I discuss with them. Even sometimes I'm like, oh, no, don't tell me. But they are free. They are men. They are boys. My first is 16, but he is very vulnerable with me. Like, he tells me anything, and I also tell them, okay, this is what is happening. So I mean, if you have a problem with your partner and you guys separated or you're divorced, talk to the kids. They will understand. Talk to them. Allow them to express themselves, what they are feeling, and if possible, get them a therapist. I know it's not encouraged in Nigeria, but you need, when, especially when kids go through that very early in life, it's okay for them to go through therapy, talk to someone about it. Just find out what your kids are feeling and talk to them. I think it goes a long way. But I don't encourage anybody to stay in a relationship that is not serving her, that is toxic, just because of the kids.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I also don't think people should stay. But is there no way that parents can be considerate that if you're partying, you can be cordial to raise children? You don't have to be friends to raise your kids.
I even have a question.
Yeah.
And but I think we were saying before the camera came on that I'd like to see the statistics, which says that kids who stay in a home where the relationship is completely broken down between the dad and the father and the mother, and they are raised in that scenario whereby they see their parents not really friends, not really together, but trying to raise the kids. They are in that marriage because of the kids. The impact that relationship has on the children,
Compared
compare it
to when they separate.
when the parents
part
actually
ways.
leave. I also feel like this topic is a very broad topic because I feel like what are you also teaching the kids if relationship breaks down and you say we can no longer get back to that and you move? Is that also teaching the kids that
It's easy to walk away.
nothing is worth fighting for? And I think that would also transcend into other areas of their life. That resilience to be able to say, you know what, it's not working, but let's walk through it. Let's push for something better. Things can get better. Do you understand? Let's make this thing work. I think it's also a function of trying to give them a spirit of never giving up.
Okay, so Shay, honesty. That's why I was very. That's why I said that it's a very sensitive conversation because at every point you do not want to undermine what any other person is going through.
Oh, definitely.
You don't want to undermine what the parents are going through, and you also don't want to undermine what the kids are going through. Do you understand? And trust me, Shay, there are some really bad marriages.
Oh, of course.
That the best thing to do is part ways. Trust me, there are really bad relationship marriages that you'll be wondering, what are these people still doing together? But what I'm saying is, can you not be separated and raise your kids?
Can you not be separated and raise your kids?
Yes. Can you not just say, you know what? We're separated. We can't raise kids together. We can't be together. But we can at least raise our kids together, which is what the white people do when they divorce. You see the father taking the child. Sometimes the child is with the mom. So they're co-parenting. It's called co-parenting. So are we saying that it's not possible to co-parent?
In that side of the world is welcomed for a husband to leave their house and then of course have the kids come over to play with him, take them out and all that.
Okay.
But in our own side of the world, I don't think it's easy.
If the parents have been
It's an
married.
individual thing. I would
Yes.
say it's an individual. Look at it's Paul, right?
Yeah.
That's just wished his wife happy birthday, and everybody was like, "Oh." So he's doing it, and it's working out for them. They're co-parenting. So I think it's an individual thing. Some men, sorry to say, were not just raised properly, and some of them is just ego things. Some of them are, I don't know, they're just plain irresponsible. So it's I don't think it has to do with culture or which side of the world you're in. I think it's an individual thing, just being responsible and knowing that these are your kids and you want to look out for them.
So why I said this part of the world, over there it's more welcomed. When you separate, you're still good relationship. You guys still talk. You're still ready to do this together. Yes, outside of the world, some people can do it, but I mean, it's not something we see all the time. That's what I was trying to point out. But notwithstanding, I still think it's relative and it's also unique. I mean, if there's an yes, this relationship cannot work, but I mean, they need to be matured about it. At least for the sake of the kids, you can come together, sit together, and identify what they need to do. Okay, yes, we're moving on. But then again, some relationships are so bad that they can't even talk. I mean, it's been so destroyed that they don't even want to see each other. So in instances where these parents want to see each other, how do they help the kids?
So so I think that's something else that we need to discuss here. How do two people come together, say they want marry,
Without being friends.
not even without being friends? Let's even leave the friendship part. Una say una something make una marry. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Una they even they knack, born children, and and then from nowhere, you guys are now like, what's the word? I'm thinking of you guys can't see eyeball to, you guys can't see each other, you can't stand each other. You see, that's hate.
So that's a resentment that has been piled up over a while that eventually exploded. So instead rather than them communicating, expressing their grievances to each other, they just kept piling it, or maybe they even tried to talk about it, but for some reason you go back and refer to what has happened in the past, and of course it becomes tiring. So because I know this person will speak to what happened in the past, you keep on piling it, keep piling it, and then eventually it's a time bomb, explodes, and that way they become serious enemies. They don't want to see each other, they don't want to talk to them. Just go your way, let me go my way.
So are we now saying, because again it goes back to the parents, because they are the adults here. So can't they see it? Is it that they're so angry? Do you understand? At that point to say that, like one of the kids said, it was her mom that left. Her mom left the dad, And I've seen scenarios like that, where the mom has to leave and all that. And a few times, the men regret these things, but are not able to come back to say, I want my family back. Pride. Ego. But then, is it that the parents do not understand what the children are going through? Uju mentioned something. She said she's not trying to be mean or nasty, but some children lose their parents at a young age. But you see, losing your parents and knowing that you have a father somewhere who doesn't care are two completely different things. You can move past death. You can tell yourself a lie that, you know what, if my father was here, things would have been different. If my father was alive, maybe my mom would not be going through all this, even if it was a bad relationship. But if your father is alive and you cannot tell or speak to your father, you can't continue telling yourself that lie for so long. Do you understand? So the experience, the feeling is different. So I can't even compare someone who has a father and somebody who, it's not, it's different, because I try as much as possible not to undermine whatever anybody is going through. Be it a child, adult, because the truth is, people deal with things differently. In fact, today I just realized that children have started going through what adults go through.
Oh, yeah.
Mental breakdown. It happens to children, and growing up, I'm sure growing up, we also had the same issue. But because we didn't think things were better then, we're not look at Mike's big deal.
Mental breakdown for your body.
I said, in fact, when my daughter tells me, I have two kids, 21 and 19. When my daughter tells me, Mom, my mental health, my mental state, I'm like, Kilonje, mental state. What do you know that they call men? Do you understand?
What are you going through in life?
What are you going through in life? That's what I say to her jokingly. But you'll be shocked at what she's going through. Because I've never thought that maybe boyfriend matter go be issue, maybe school work go be, things would always happen. So looking back at 21, what was I bothered about? In fact, at some point I had to tell the children, I said, part of the problem is you guys refusing to be children. And I said, there's nothing, you can't go back to being a child. I miss growing up. I miss that part, you understand? At that age, I was too eager to become an adult. I wanted to, everybody went through that phase that you're saying, you know what, you want to begin to do what adults they do and all that. Not knowing that, in fact, I was telling the child today, I said, you're 19 and you're 17. At least be a child to 21. or 22. My daughter will say, I'm going to be a baby girl until 25. You know, that's what my daughter says. She said, Daddy, I'm going to be a child till I'm 25. I will call you for everything I want till I'm 25. Now I understand, you understand. Because from 25 to 75, you have 50 years to be an adult. And trust me, there's no fun about being an adult. There's nothing fun about being an adult. You know? So how do...
There's nothing fun about being an adult.
There's nothing fun
Come on,
about...
man. There's still more fun.
There's no fun about being
I
an
mean, what
adult.
you say?
There's nothing.
Are we saying our younger ones should not grow up?
No, you don't understand what I'm trying to say. They would grow up, but trust me, there's really nothing, because you're going to be an adult for 50 years, more than 50 years. Problem. Complicated issues to solve.
Every
And
day.
nobody is there for you. Nobody's going to treat you like a child to say, you know what? It's...
I'll take your burden.
Thank you. Adulthood na scam.
It's still, I mean, it depends on how you approach it. Too. I mean, you might want.
But don't you agree that adulthood na
You might
scam?
want to see it in that light, and it becomes
Big
complicated for you.
scam. Oh.
Adulthood is a scam.
Yes, it's a scam, but if you accept it, then I mean, it's going to be
You don't
complicated.
get, see, you really don't want to see. Let me tell you, I'm being honest. There's nothing I can do about it right now. You understand? There's nothing anybody can do about it. We're all adults.
Yeah.
But trust me, it's a scam.
We
We thought it
know
was going to
that.
be fun. We thought, oh, life
start
just as
making money
small
for
picking, you know, once based
I
on how
know.
things be. But that's not what it is. You know, that's not what it is. So let's quickly go on a break. When we come back, we'll go back into all this. But
Heartlines would be right back.
Life is made up of moments, some that lift us, others that break us. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space where we explore the beauty, the heartbreaks, and the incredible strength that every relationship brings into our lives. Friendship, marriages, partnerships, and everything in between.
Yes, say yes.
All the connections that shapes who we are today. Every week, we dive into the stories that define us. Stories of love, loss, heartbreaks, and healing. Real life stories from real people, just like you and I. Heartlines is where emotions meet understanding, and where we learn that we're never truly alone. Join me Mondays through Fridays at 9:30 p.m. for Heartlines, where we'll connect with every heart, one story at a time.
Thanks for staying with us on Heartlines.
So our phone lines are open, and you can please call in to join this conversation on 070-2500-7749 or 070-1424-2420. Please, if you're near your phones, if you're watching this, please call in to join this conversation, because I think this is something that, you know, I think this is something everybody should be part of. You know, let's hear your views. Let's hear what you have to say. Before we went on the break, Shay, you were going to say something.
Basically, what I was going to say is, in resolving conflict, I think we should all just try to be better people and not be self-centered, because the impact of self-centeredness goes beyond what you... my mom used to tell me something growing up, and she used to say, your life is never your life. I want to live my life. I want to be happy for myself. That life that you think is yours is really never yours, because you have a lot of people connected to you. And I feel like as individuals, if we begin to think in that light, it will help a lot of decision making. It will help you in resolving conflicts. Take, for example, your life is your life. You want to be happy for yourself. You have 2 kids. You move out of the house. They don't have a father figure. They probably don't even have so many relations that they can reach out to or talk to. You take up all the burden for yourself. You are happy, right? But you have 2 kids, and they'll give birth to children. What you've done unknowingly in your own happiness, in quotes, is that you've almost sown. They call it what's that stuff they call it in spiritual and in Yoruba times, that generational curse. But it starts from somebody. Somebody carries their trauma, carries their own happiness in quotes, transmits it to these children. They have children, and the thing, that link keeps on going. And but I know somebody. I mean, you just act based on the fact that you think you are the only one
Who's being hurt?
who's being hurt. You are not really stepping back, taking a step back to think about
it,
yes, and about how you move on from
what has happened.
What has happened. And I feel like if we begin to look at life in that regard, in the sense that, my life is not really my life. There are people who are connected to you, even more than you, who is in the relationship. You think you are the one going through the abuse, you are the one going through the trauma, you think you are the one that is unhappy. And like you said, you see small kids now having problems of mental breakdown. They're having problems that adults are supposed to be having.
Yeah.
And you sit down and take a look at what's the impact of that. For example, I've missed my point, but if you, say for example, a lady who moved out of the house takes the son, right, and moves out of the house with the child. The child is looking for a father figure. The father wants to be in this son's life. The lady probably grew up that way. Do you understand? In a way that she also
was raised by her mom.
By her mom who didn't have a father figure.
I think it's normal.
Thinks he's all right. Moves out and says, I can do it by myself.
My mother did it.
Raises a son who marries a girl, thinks the girl is indispensable, is not really willing to work on anything in terms of make things better. All this conflict resolution we're talking about, he has no
interest.
Not even interest. He has zero fuse, a very low fuse for conflict resolution. The next thing he sees is I don't want to even talk about it. I'm out. I moved out. He gives birth to another child. That one passes it on. So, in conflict resolution in relationship, I think more than anything, individuals, men and women, should look at not just themselves, but the impact it has on the wider scope of impact, which is the children. Sometimes even not your children. There are people that are looking up to you, and they think that, man, if this guy can make it, this guy got it together, these people have it together, and they learn from you. And once they see that thing doesn't work, it might not even be your children. Do you understand? You don't know the people that are looking up onto you. So if you can step back and just make conscious efforts, even if, like you said, even if we're going to break up, even if we're going to separate, let's be good people. Let's be
intentional about parenting.
Yes, let's make it work. I mean, we don't have to be friends, but we can all live together.
Yeah, we can be cordial.
Yeah, we can, we can need each other. We don't have to be saying, I see you today, I see you tomorrow. But we can be intentional about the way we go about life. And I always say to people, like, this life that we hold so dear, like...
there's really nothing.
You really do not have control. Why is everything so hard for you? Why is saying sorry hard for you? Why is saying accepting mistakes that I did wrong? Why is it hard for you? Like, what's the big deal in all these things at the end of the day? You don't have control over anything. Screws in your head can get loose in 1 minute. Nothing. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So why does everything have... You think about myself.
Based on what Shei has said, in fact, when Shei was talking, I was just thinking, I feel that if people if the couples, individuals in relationship just don't make it about, I'm doing too much. Whatever it is you're doing, make it look like nothing. You know, sometimes because people think they're doing so much, it even causes problems.
Spot on. This is a very, very fantastic point here first. The moment you sorry to cut you, the moment you start feeling you are doing so
Too
much,
much.
you begin to have resentment.
Yes.
What's this person doing?
Yes.
You're doing this, you're doing that. You are unable to see anything good in what that person is doing. Then hate begins to grow. That's why that person could just wake up one day and just
Move.
Because so much resentment has been built over time. You feel you're the one doing everything. You feel this person is not doing anything, and then it becomes very easy to walk away.
And you don't see anything.
It becomes selfish because
You don't. Yeah.
You're not thinking about the kids.
Yeah.
How would this guy cope? Taking them away from their father. Yeah, the guy might be useless, so to speak, even though he's not useless. But as a fatherly figure, it's available. But yet you're taking them away from the father, exposing them to all sorts of rubbish out there, and then it's a ripple effect. Like you said, they transfer it to the next generation. But then again, I've seen kids who have gone through painful upbringing where they see their parents fight. Every time it's fight, abuse, and all that. But they turn out well.
Because they're intentional.
How did they turn out? No, the kids now, not the parents.
No, let me tell
How
you
did
what
they
it
turn
is.
out well?
So let me tell you what it is. They made it very intentional. My father, my grandparents, my dad's parents, he had 2 wives. And he saw his dad beat up his mom. My father was very intentional. He said he would never raise his hand to his wife. My father was very intentional. Even boarding school, my father was very intentional. He said none of his kids will go to a boarding school. So because he came from a particular setting, a particular background, and he didn't want that for himself, he made every effort not to be that person. So you have to be intentional. So that's why I say that when things happen, it's either a negative or a positive reaction.
Yeah. Everybody's different.
Everybody's different.
Yes, it could bring in a positive reaction for that
Positive
person.
or negative.
reaction.
Yeah.
You know, I know somebody, I know somebody who lost his father, saw the mom suffering, and said his wife, because of what he saw the mother going through, the wife will never suffer in
Even
case
though he
anything
dies.
happens to him, because he felt if my father can die young, who says I can't die young?
Yeah.
So immediately he said intentionally said he was going to marry a particular kind of person. He was going to put in so much into the wife so that if anything happens to him,
She can continue.
the wife can take care of the children. So he says it's selfish from where he's coming from, but it has helped his home. So people react positively or negatively to issues.
There's another set of people.
Okay.
Set of people who don't know anything, and they are just following life, and without knowing, without conscious effort, they follow the trajectory
Of their parents. Yes.
without
In fact,
putting any effort, without positive or negative effort.
No, Sheyi,
They
in
just-
fact,
they
the
just end
ones
up like
who
that.
hate what their parents did more. You see that child
He
who
ends
hates
up like
the
that.
father ends up exactly like the father.
Can't even realize
Without
even
realizing it.
It's even worse. You know, when you keep on,
Without making an effort.
without making an effort, because you keep blaming that person for everything that's happening in your life, and then by the time you know it, you're exactly
He
that
does save
person.
that person.
So in the long run, it still boils down to we parents.
And
We
it
need to be intentional.
We need to be intentional, but again, see, so I in fact, the whole of today I have been thinking, the minute you tell yourself that whatever it is you're doing in your relationship is not too much.
So how do you help? How do you advise such person who thinks he or she is
It's
doing
a mind.
everything?
It is, see, that's where
Because the moment you
mindset-
feel you're doing everything, I
But
mean,
you
it's
see,
already spoiling a
But
lot
let
of
me
things.
tell you the truth. It's the mindset. You see, that's why they say the mind is the strongest weapon. Whatever it is you're going through, your mindset. I don't want to like I said, I would always say I try not to undermine whatever anybody is going through. However, some people are not strong enough to take certain things. Some people are very strong to deal with certain things. So by the time they're not even able to take anything before it gets to the mind, so they break down. But you see, the truth is, if you're able to work on your mind, again, it depends on how much you can take, how much capacity of trauma, or how much suffering or whatever you can. You understand? Sometimes you know what I'm done. People react differently. to things. That's why at every point I'm always saying that I do not want to undermine whatever anybody, and I do not judge anybody's decision to stay or to leave or to go. But if we consciously tell ourselves that whatever you're doing for that person who you got into a relationship with, it's never too much, even not for you. I like what your mom used to tell you, that you are not, your life is not your own.
Yeah.
If you tell yourself that as much as it's my life, but there are people who are dependent on this so-called life that is mine.
It becomes easy.
It becomes easy for you to do certain things. But again, you might become a very sad person because you think you're living your life for other people.
And it's still the mind, like you said.
It's still the mind, exactly.
So another thing is, communication, they say, is a power to break, open ways. Now, for spouses who find it hard to express themselves to their spouse, so to speak, and your spouse keep asking, what's wrong, and you're not speaking out. On the other side, resentment is building, even though the other spouse is asking, and eventually you finally explode. How do you manage that? Obviously, you already blame this person for that. You didn't give that person a chance to, try to hear what's making you feel so bad, but eventually you walk away. So I think it still comes back to being intentional.
So
anyway.
it comes, so I think that we need to, in this part of the world, we need to begin to open up to certain things. We're so, I'm thinking of the word to use, we're so rigid to what we already know.
I think it goes back to our upbringing too.
Upbringing, exactly.
We were never allowed to fully express ourselves as young people growing up. Our culture never, it was, before you could be able to express yourself in a family, your parents must be very, very liberal and open.
Okay.
Relative, because my dad studied in America.
So I was going to say,
one thing is certain. Speak up. Be
speak
confident.
up. Speak
Yeah,
up.
your mind.
So growing up, but guess what? I understand what she is saying. You know me. I'm very opinionated. I will tell you exactly what I feel about everything. And not sabi hide my feeling. And it was my father.
Exactly. You see, a father figure.
It was my father.
Yeah,
My
say
father.
This gender.
So my father would say, my father would tell me, if I'm doing anything wrong,
Call me out.
Yes.
Call
same.
me out.
Same.
My
That's
father would say, but when I say it, people don't understand it. So in my house, all my siblings, in my house, if you fuck
my mom would say, but no. I eventually saw it. It gives you confidence.
Yes.
Speak out.
But guess what? I know so when I got married, it wasn't something that was practiced there. So I became somebody who was very
who is seen as being rude.
No, but not even no, but funny enough, it wasn't even about them. So naturally, if you're very outspoken, people will take you as rude and stubborn. So I'm tagged the stubborn person because for everything you need me to do, you need to explain to
why
me.
I
But
need
you're
to do
stubborn.
it.
Huh?
That's exactly the thing.
No, but you're stubborn.
Do you understand? For everything, if you need me to do anything, you have to make me understand why I should do it.
And then somebody say, why are you being logical?
Exactly.
But why can't I be logical?
And
Tell me.
they say she thinks she's too smart. It's not about being smart. I need to understand because where I'm coming from, my parents had to make me see reasons why I should do certain things. So you see, it's a problem that just continues to go round and round and round and round and round.
But is it wrong to say you're being logical?
I don't think it's wrong.
Uju, are you still here?
I'm here.
So Uju, tell me what your thoughts. Tell me what you think about conflicts not being resolved, leading to divorce, managing it. Just tell me what you think about it.
I think I've already talked a bit on that, and like the other guests rightly said, it's an individual thing, so it depends on the persons involved in the relationship. So for me, what's from all we've been discussing and we've been talking about, my what I've been able to, should I say, summarize from all of that is, number one, it's our upbringing, how we've been raised, and then we take it into marriage, and we're we feel kind of stifled. We keep doing things. We don't want to speak out, and then resentment keeps building. So what I will say is, I think it all boils down to us and our kids. Even despite how we've been raised, we should try to raise our kids differently. Encourage our children to be confident, to always speak out. And then the men, there's always this thing, oh, be a man, be a man. I think men should also be encouraged to be vulnerable. Don't just keep, keeping things, and then because men, they deal with a lot, really. I know that women, we have our own issues, but there's this society just expects men to be a certain way, and that kind of when a man is struggling in the home, he just tries to keep to himself. And when the woman is not sensitive enough to recognize, okay, my husband is going through this, I need to be a certain way to encourage him, to support him, even though he's not coming out to be vulnerable, but I understand what he's going through. So I just think we need to do better with our kids. You need to raise them better. If we're raising boys, we should let them know that it's okay to be vulnerable with your partner in marriage. It's okay to always speak out. Communication is very powerful. It's a very powerful tool. Always communicate. And then I also want to say, I know that when growing up, like you said, we're all in a hurry to grow up, get married, because we just picture, oh, this romantic, oh, want to get married, just have, a man that you'll be having sex with all the time, not the one you'll be sneaking around. So we just had, this idea of, marriage and adulthood being so beautiful and everything. So I think for those that are listening that are not yet married, I think it's important to marry someone that is from your own tribe. Tribe, I mean, you guys have the same perspective in life. You share the same perspective about different things in life. Your values align. You're from the same kind of family. I think so. Because if you marry someone that's a bit like you and you guys share the same values, I think that limits conflicts, and it also limits how you approach conflicts. And I also think that this is I know that people will say, oh, we don't want to talk about something before it happens. But I think it's also important for partners, husband and wife, to agree on how to resolve conflicts before it even happens. Like, don't start throwing abusive words and all of that. There are people that once there is problem, they'll start abusing you. You're an idiot, you're a pastor, you're this. I don't like that at all. So I think it's good to communicate with your partner. Okay, when this is going on, let's not call names. Let's not go back to, oh, you did this the other day. Just bring what is on the table. And then it's also okay not to resolve it. Sometimes just compromise, walk away, whatever it is, just listen, and it mustn't be resolved at that moment. Some issues, maybe some days or months down the line, you think that there was even no need for you guys to have argued about it. And then finally, I will say that if it involves violence, that's my own, when you can see that you guys cannot be civil about it, I still think it's okay to walk away.
Okay.
I don't know if I've answered your question.
Oh, yeah, sure. That's fine. Yeah, I also think it's okay to walk away if you're not able to resolve your differences. 100%. But if you're walking away, what I'm saying is be accountable for your kids. Your husband, you and your partner should be able to work out something meaningful for the kids, to say that the kids don't have to suffer because you guys brought them into this world. They didn't ask to come into this world. So you guys are responsible for those children. You can't leave them hanging. I think it's bad parenting if you can't be accountable for your kids. It's terrible parenting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's terrible parenting, and I think a lot of people don't even understand what parenting is, what parenting requires. If you are not ready, then you have no business having kids.
It still boils down to teaching our kids now that, to do better, teaching them how to be responsible.
That's what I'm saying. Uju, if you don't know anything about parenting, what do you want to teach your kids?
Exactly.
Yeah, so we need to be intentional about these things. Yes, we need to be intentional about...
How do you know what to know about parenting?
No.
You're not even parenting. When you're not even parenting.
No, but you see, that's why you now begin to learn. That's where learning... See, it is continuous learning. But having this conversation now...
Unlearn.
So go on, you unlearn some things and relearn some things. So because of these conversations we've had, you're going to be like, oh, I want to be a better parent. I want to be a better father. I want my wife. Do you understand? You begin to look at the way things are in your home, And you know what? I don't want it to get to this level or this point. So because of that, you're you're very intentional about what you do, what you say, how you behave at home. It guides you in doing certain things.
We are, yeah, with siblings too, like teaching like the oldest, how to behave to the little ones and all of that. I
Yes.
think it all starts from when your relationship with your siblings too, and carry that into marriage.
Yes. So Shay,
I think Uju actually said the part I wanted to say, which is timing of conflict resolution. Like she said, you don't have to resolve. Sometimes you don't have to resolve issues immediately. It happens, Take time off. Something can happen now, and you can wait for like a month when things have cleared out a bit to resolve it.
okay.
For example, like my wife likes to, and I think it's something you also have to, like you said, learn and relearn. Sometimes you want to solve issues right now. Sometimes I want to cool off and just be like, you know what, let me take a stroll. Let me get my head right. Then I'll come back and I'll be able to have a logical and clear decision about that. But if you're trying to resolve it at the heat of the moment, most times it never works. Because you are in your feelings, the other person is in their feelings. Nobody wants to see every other person's side, and it's just chaotic. And it ends up doing more
Damage than
good.
But
So,
it's because it's easy for you to do. Doesn't make it easy for some people. Some people are quite expressive, and they want to express themselves at the heat of the moment. Now, what advice I give those kind of people is, once you're expressing yourself in the heat of the moment, you need to be cautious of the kind of words
you use.
Exactly. You need to manage, the words, because obviously the person who is receiving it can also react.
Oh yeah, angry. You don't even have time to think.
True.
Okay, so we're out of time, and like I said, this conversation is something that we don't have enough time to to discuss. But I would always say that whatever it is you're dealing with, every marriage, there's no perfect marriage. Nowhere, there's no perfect marriage. So it's okay to have problems. What is not okay is not dealing with the problems you have. Every marriage has its problem. There's no perfect marriage. Forget whatever you see. Every husband and wife, they fight. But the good thing about it is how they resolve their differences and how they deal with their issues. So please, if you're having issues at home, you're not the first person. The problem is when you're not able to solve your problem with your wife. That's where the problem comes in.
And also for the ones that have completely broken down, moved out, find a middle ground.
Yes.
For the sake of
your
the
children.
life of others around you.
So please, we need to wrap up this. How come you're not complaining today? Please, again, we're saying you can send messages. You can send messages to us at counsel@vodaconsult.com, and then you can follow us on our. In fact, subscribe, not follow us. Subscribe on our YouTube channel at official Upgrade TV. And please, you can send your messages anonymous to our WhatsApp line 081. You can send your message to our WhatsApp line 081 8038 4663. See you tomorrow.